Welcome! You're watching Weird Music History. I'm your host, Michael Merchant, aka Danger, and first off, I want to apologize to you guys for the time and space in between episodes. As you can see, I'm in a new space. I got a new studio, new setup. This is where we're going to enjoy our weird music history lessons from now on. So, without further ado, today we're talking about none other than Mozart. Cue harpsichord, or whatever the fuck. Talking about Mozart. Did you know his actual name, a lot of people think it's Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. That is incorrect. Alright, I'm going to try this. I'm going to butcher the crap out of it. But here we go. Johannes Christomasus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. And with nicknames like Wolfgang Amadea or Wolfgangus Amadeus Mozartus, which he would refer to as like jokingly if someone asked him what his name was. By his loved one was called Wolfie. Amadei and Amadeus actually mean loved by God or lover of God, which is actually really funny, and we're going to talk a little bit more about why his name and it being the meaning is hilarious. We're going to jump deep into it, but for now, let's talk about his early life. Mozart was a child prodigy, and he was like the child prodigy of all child prodigies. Like, this kid came out the womb swinging for no reason. Like, now there's a lot of speculation of how or why. Some people think maybe he had a mental disorder. Some people think that his father was an actual music teacher, and I personally think maybe he just Joe Jacksoned his ass. You know what I mean? Like, he beat the music into this kid, because listen to how crazy this is. As a child prodigy, at 3 years old, learns and takes up the harpsichord and the clavichord, which, if you don't know what it is a type of like piano. It's a baby piano for babies, basically, kind of. It keeps getting crazier. By the age 5, he had wrote his first composition, and by the age 6, he was so good at violin and the organ that like people were like calling him a professional by like age 6. By age 9, the dude was composing full symphonies, and by age 12, he was composing full operas, which I'm like, my brain can't even register what that would comprehend. 'Cause oh my God, so many things. This dude was a full-on child prodigy, and his dad, since 3-5 years old, had been touring him around Europe for nobles and royals and all kinds of famous people to make some money. It's crazy. He lived an entire life before he was like old enough to do adult shit. You know what I mean? I almost left out his birthday. And we're doing this episode on Mozart. I've been wanting to do this episode for a while, but the timing could not be better, because Mozart's birthday is actually January 27th, 1756. And by the time you're seeing this, it'll be that day. So give a shout out to your boy Wolfie. Go Mozart! Go Wolfie! Now, when he was still a boy, and he was getting toured around by to all the famous people and nobles and royals and all that shit, there's a cool little story that I found where while he was being toured, he was at a place. He was in France somewhere. Maybe he was in Paris or something, Versailles or something. I'm in Paris, and he was still a kid. He actually, the first thing he ever said when he met with Maria Antoinette, which later on becomes the Queen of France. The first time he met her, he jumped into her arms and said, "You were a good lady, and one day you will be my wife." Now that's shooting for the stars right there. If you go big or go home, my boy. Like, I don't think she was queen at the time, but like she later became the queen of France, which I thought was really insane. Like, go you, dude. He had clout since he was since he came out the womb. The dude was fucking like a rabbit. Like, let's just be honest. Like, he keeps running into these women, and for better or for worse, he was a maybe the first rock star. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was full of partying, drinking, hanging out with women, playing games, and making music. I mean, the dude was a full-on rock star. Don't get it twisted. He was a super funny dude. He had letters that he had wrote to his cousin on your bed, and I hope it makes it burst. Like, he's telling people to kiss his ass and lick his asshole. Like, they've got letters showing 100% believe you should go look. If you find this interesting at all, go look at his letters. I promise you won't be disappointed, and they're fucking hilarious. Like, he talks to his cousin, he's telling his mom, like, he hopes he wrote like some big play or something, and or one big orchestra, and it was something really impressive, and he ended up writing a letter to his mom, and in the letter he tells his mom to like kiss his ass or something. Apparently the dude was like full of nothing but like poop and fart jokes, which I thought was hilarious, because who doesn't like fart jokes? He would also call his little cousin Lil Poop Face. Sounds like someone's rap name nowadays. Lil Poop Face. Shout out Lil Poop Face on the shit. All right. He's a silly dude. There's even a story from a page I watched from a guy named Billy Holt. I'll tag him in. And I watched him, and he's telling this story about how he was doing a concert in a ballroom in Vienna. Mozart was the entertainment. All these royals and nobles, famous people are sitting in the ballroom waiting for it to start. And out comes 6 women, a choir, and they start singing Leck mich in Arsch, which translates to kiss my ass, or lick me in the ass. I think it's more close to kiss my ass, but Leck Mike, I'm Arse. It sounds like lick my ass. So that's the one I'm rolling with. And Mozart, even though he was a brilliant musical genius, he was not above fart jokes. So shout out.
Fart backwards.
Shout out to fart jokes. He was a fun guy, apparently. Like, he not only did he crack jokes all the time, he was also known for like loving games and pulling pranks and stuff. One of the pranks that I read about from another guy, I'll tag him in it. I don't know. It's like Colty Navin something or other. But I'll tag it down there in the description. You guys can check it out if you want. Excuse me. He tells this story about how Mozart once wrote a piece for a vocalist he didn't very much care for. I guess they were in the same inner circle, but he did not like this woman and did not like her singing, I guess. Or better yet, not her singing, but maybe her movements while she was singing. Because he ended up, just like out of pettiness or like to crack, like prank or crack a joke, he ends up writing a piece for this soprano. When she would sing before he wrote this stuff, she would lift her head out when she would sing high notes, and she would pull her shit back in when she would sing low notes. And he thought it was stupid, so what he did was he wrote her a piece, constantly make her go from high to low notes so that she sounded and looked like a chicken when she was singing. Woo, woo, woo. Chicken head ass. All right. He was known for pulling pranks, hiding and jumping out of people when he was a kid. He would pull, petty shit. Mozart is so petty and so funny that he created a piece of music that is called a musical joke. The whole thing behind it is that he wrote this piece of music intentionally trying to make fun of other musicians who thought they were just as good as he was or better. People would see this piece of music, try and play it. What Mozart did, and what was brilliant, he wrote all of it, but he would write like certain parts would be out of key, or there would be like rhythmic progressions that were like impossible to play. And so when you were trying to play his stuff or try and play it better than him, it would automatically sound like shit because you were playing something he intentionally tried to sabotage. You know, his own internal joke, but it nonetheless hilarious. This dude might as well just been a comedian. Comedians had it all that good back then. Probably like fucking court jesters or something, you know? And court jesters back then, I think they were only good if you could like sing, jump, and fart at the same time or something crazy. Yeah, so this dude was hilarious. It was a jokester and a prankster. And he also loved games. More or less a gambling degenerate. He spent a lot of his money partying, drinking, and betting. And he was also an avid pool player. He loved billiards. He loved pool, even to the extent that he had a pool table in his house. And that while he was in his office, while he was working or when he was taking a break, they say he would, while he was working and trying to be creative, he would, you know, keep the balls rolling, the creativity going. And I completely get that. I love playing pool myself. It's a great hobby, and it also allows me personally get out of my head and, you know, get rid of the worries of the world for, you know, just a little bit. So I thought that was really cool. If I had ever met Mozart, I would have smoked his ass in 8-ball. Don't play with me. Moving on. Actually, let's talk about this first. Earlier, I mentioned that his name, part of his name, Amadeus, translates to lover of God or loved by God. He has history with the Catholic Church. So I'm going to give you a story first about his pursuit of Rome. And basically, he goes out to Rome. Him and his father Leopold want to, you know, make their name out in the Catholic world of Rome. In pursuit of that, him and his father were once at the Sistine Chapel. He heard a piece called Misery by Allergy, which at the time was illegal and banned by the church. There were no written compositions of this work. It was banned. They weren't allowed to play it. They weren't allowed to, you know. So Mozart being Mozart, the genius that he is, what the shit stir that he was what does he do? Well, him being a musical genius and a prodigy, one thing about Mozart that a lot of people hold in high regard, and the reason they call him a genius, is because that he was known for being able to hear pieces of music and memorize it, and then later on write it back down. So what does he do? Mozart hears Misery by Allegory in the Sistine Chapel. He mesmerized it, and then went back, wrote it down, performed it in front of these Catholics, right? In front of these Catholic priests and everything. It was supposed to be banned. And instead of getting in trouble for it, what actually happened was the Pope at the time had gained word of it, went and saw it, heard it, and instead of getting on his tail about it, throw him in jail, like they would have thrown you or killed you back then for, you know, something like that. Instead, the Pope ended up awarding Mozart the chivalric hold on. Give me a second. These big, long, hard words. Hold on. He gave Mozart the chivalric Order of the Golden Spur, which basically knighted Mozart. Mozart basically gained knighthood for going against the system and performing a piece of music that was illegal and was frowned upon. It was so good that instead of burning him at the stake, they knighted him. What? That's crazy, right? And it keeps going. This dude had a lot of people say he was just like didn't like authority figure, which I would agree with. It sounds like he was, you know, a hellraiser and wanted to do what he wanted to do. Didn't really mesh with ideologies at the time, like what was popular, you know, Catholicism. Now, going more into that, did you know that Mozart was a Freemason? Mozart 100% has a Masonic background, and I thought was actually kind of insane because I'm like, basically, he joined. There's two reasons. Scholars say half people are like Mozart only did it because at that point in time, Freemasonry was like a big social club, and that's where like the high ups were. So he used it as a networking and career path to gain access to stuff that he wouldn't be able to normally, right? So funds to create his, compositions and operas. They even actually later on, even towards his death, when he was becoming financially unstable and in debt, the Freemasons actually were the ones who were like sending him money to keep him to sustain, right? So when he was in debt and at his lowest, they would help him out. But Freemasonry, as we know, very much goes against Catholicism. Freemasonry poses the thought of enlightenment, liberty, universal brotherhood, basically being able to find, God within yourself, which at the time was like, that's the exact opposite of Catholicism and what they believed and what they wanted. And they were really strict about it back then. Like I said, him getting off for making that piece is actually kind of mind-boggling. But yeah, dude was a full-on Mason. The other camp is that like he liked the ideals. He was full on, wanted to it. Some people say it was career. Some people say it was, internal. But either way it goes, there's definitely evidence that he was 100% a Mason. Kind of mind-boggling, right? And it even shows up in some of his work. Masonic funeral music created by Mozart. There's also a famous composition called The Magic Flute. And the Magic Flute is full of Masonic lore and symbols and whatnot. So he was 100% a Mason. I don't know if that makes him a good guy, a bad guy. It doesn't make me want to go run to the temple and go, hey, what are you guys up to? But Mozart, while he was a genius and also kind of a degenerate, he also seemed to really enjoy life while he had it, and had sweet spots and everything. I heard a story about how he actually, one day, Mozart walks into a pet store. He walks into the pet store and he hears a starling bird singing something that resembles something close to that he created. So intrigued by the bird, he purchased the bird. Forgive me for this, but took the bird under his wing, right? Him and the bird become great companions. People said that he would actually even, like, the bird would go with him on his, like, day-to-day routines and stuff. He said that he also taught, I don't know how much, oomph is behind it, how much real fact is behind this, but supposedly he taught his starling bird pieces of his music and also was inspired by the bird and incorporated some of the bird's songs into his music. He loved this bird so much that when the bird passed away, he actually had a full-on funeral for his starling bird, his musical bird, which I thought was really sweet, really cool. And the other part didn't make me want to go to the Masonic temple, but this makes me want to go buy a fucking bird and see if I can get it to sing ass cheeks. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be funny? So, yes, this dude had a life. It was crazy. And we're going to talk a little about his death before we go and we wrap this thing. As much fun and as cool as this guy was, not unlike most stories you hear about super famous people that just end up like super tragic. So towards the end of his life, him and his wife Constance, they ended up having 5 children, which only 2 of them survived infancy. The first one, I think he had named the son even after his father, Leopold. That baby fortunately didn't make it. Yeah, went on to try and have 5 other kids. Only 2 of them survived infancy. Now, people didn't live that long back then anyways, but damn, could you imagine, like, trying to have 5 kids and only 2 survive? Now, I don't know if it was complications with his wife or just, sickness and stuff back then, but very, very tragic. Even his death is pretty tragic. So Mozart dies on December 5th, 1791. His death is still a mystery and widely debated from scholars all around the world since forever. Nobody still knows exactly how he died. Some people think he was being poisoned. It was mercury poison. Some people say it was like, I even read somewhere that maybe it was just like strep. he died by strep. But there's a lot of theories. At that time, before he started getting super ill, a patron's wife, delivered anonymously, paid for him to write work for him. He basically was hired. He was a freelance musician his whole life. So it wasn't strange that he was getting somebody to pay him to do it. But what was weird is that supposedly the guy was dressed in all black and a mask and paid him to write this piece. Well, this piece, while he's in it, he gets very sick, and he tells the people closest to him that he thinks that this was called the Requiem, was his last piece of music. It actually went unfinished by Mozart. His student ended up trying to, finish it in his honor and through his vision. But it's like, Mozart's so, like, he was so fucking way up there. It's like, okay, we're just getting the best that we could get, He basically decided that he's basically writing his own funeral mass. Like, he basically knew it was coming. He even told his, I think it was his sister, that, one of his last words were like, I taste death on my tongue. All I can taste is death. While he's writing the Requiem, they're trying to figure it out. He had a couple of his friends and people closest to him, musicians, that were trying to play and figure out the rest of the Requiem with him. Well, even in his delirium at the very end, they say that he was sounding out the drums for the Requiem when he ultimately passes away. So the song was never finished by his own account, but just, man, can you imagine just being, God, like trying to, imagine getting sick and then thinking like, oh shit, this thing that somebody paid me to do is actually just for me, And I think, I don't know if maybe that helped him pass, I don't know. It's a crazy thing to say. Now, Amadeus, the movie, was like, the whole movie's kind of sourced around like rumor and whatnot. And the 2 main guys, I think his name's like Satori or Satori or, God, I can't remember exactly. But the movie tried to like pit them together. When doing research, I actually found out that maybe they didn't. Maybe they had like a friendly rivalry, but they were actually pretty close and pretty good friends. The dude wasn't jealous of him at all, like the movie portrayed. Mozart. Dude, hold on. Let's try this again. Johannes Christophorus Wolfgangus Theophilus Mozart. All right, that's the last time you're getting. I'm not doing that shit again. This episode has been about Mozart, one of, if not the most prolific musical geniuses. If you like this episode, please leave in the comments what's your favorite Mozart song, or if there's any facts that I missed or got wrong, please feel free to tell me in the comments what I missed, what I got wrong, or if you have any more fun facts that you'd like to share, we would all love to hear it. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me. Let me get my shit together while I get in this new spot. This has been Weird Music History. I'm Michael Merchant, aka Danger. We talked about Mozart. And what a dude. Man, what a guy. Anyways, until next time, we'll see you guys later. And big hearts. And follow the music. Love you guys. Bye.